Hey team, the purpose of this teaching video is specifically for teachers. I want to make sure that teachers know how to get into Google Classroom and prepare their classroom for a brand new school year. Here are some key do's and don'ts related to Google Classroom. If you're fairly new to Google Classroom and you can't remember exactly how to get there, there's actually more than one way to get to Google Classroom. My mouse is over here on the right-hand side of the screen. And right here, we have what's called the waffle. Now, it's technically the Google Apps menu, but oftentimes in tech circles, we just refer to it as a waffle because it looks like that. You can click right here, and then once you click, this menu will drop down. These apps are movable. If you click and relocate any of these resources, they will be in the position that you choose. So if Google Classroom appears near the bottom and you would prefer that it's near the top, you can make that adjustment. The purpose of my teaching video is not to explain all these other accessories. You can explore those on another day. My main objective is just to make sure that you know how to utilize Google Classroom resources. So click here one time. Let's pretend that you want to get into Google Classroom a different way. Let me model how to use another method for entering and using Google Classroom. Along your bookmark bar, this area right in here where you can save resources, if yours doesn't show up, click on these three dots right here and then come down to where it says bookmarks and then make sure that it shows you the bookmark bar. So you can either make that bookmark bar disappear or you can make it come back. In the Omni box, or this space up here where you type in your address of the website that you want to go to, you can type in classroom.google.com and then that'll take you there. Here is yet another way that you can head over to Google Classroom in a seamless, easy to locate fashion. Let's pretend that you're already in Google Classroom and you would like for a little button to appear up here so that you can quickly go to Google Classroom without having to go through the thought process of clicking on the waffle or any of those other things. Here's that other option. If I click on this padlock and then drag that padlock in here wherever I let go, I'm going to have a tidy little button that lets me go to Google Classroom quickly. So if I want to head over to my blog or Twitter or my website or my YouTube channel, I have each of these buttons located right here that will take me to those locations quickly. Likewise, I now also have this button right here that will take me to Google Classroom quickly. And if you're curious why some of these are just symbols and there are no letters next to them whatsoever, I'm going to remove those letters. I just performed a right click on top of this button. I'm going to click right here where it says edit. If I'm going too quickly in my video, you can either press the space bar on your laptop and that will pause the video, or you can just pause the video in order to catch up. This edit button, I'm going to press backspace on my keyboard to get rid of all of those letters. Now I'm going to come down here to the blue button that says save. I'm going to click one time. And you'll notice that the word classes just disappeared and my little Google Classroom button is located right here. Now you have permission to move this wherever you want to, as long as it's helpful for you. So long story short, we are now in Google Classroom. My recommendation to you is that you archive last year's classroom. Some teachers go through the process of deleting all of their students and using the same Google Classroom year after year after year after year after year. My recommendation to you is please don't do that. And the reason I say that is because some of the Google updates that come out each summer are only going to work properly in a new Google Classroom. Down at the very bottom of my Google Classroom, I have a couple classes that are old from years ago, and some of the new tools and resources are not functioning properly in some of those old classrooms. If you wish to design like a test class space where all of your thinking happens there and you freely make all the mistakes you want to in a test class, you can. Or if that's the place where you want to store specific types of lessons, it's up to you. You don't really have to do that if you are a traditional classroom teacher, because I'll show you in a minute how you can utilize content from classrooms that are already archived. This next piece, the very next thing I'm going to show you, is how to archive a classroom that you don't plan on ever accessing again. So because I'm an instructional technology coach, I usually have 60 Google Classrooms per year. If I were to leave all of those in there over the course of 4 years, I would have over 200 Google Classrooms, and it would drive me bonkers. So for organizational purposes, I have to archive these classes. So to archive a class so that it no longer shows up in front of me, I'm going to click on the More button followed by Archive. Double check, make sure it's a class you want to archive. Click the Archive button and then go ahead and archive that classroom. Everything related to that classroom is still stored and available to me, and I can use all of those lessons this year even though I can't see that classroom in front of me. I'm going to model that archive process again. I'm not going to waste your time and archive 35 classrooms in front of you. I'll do all of that later. I'm going to come over here. This is the next portion of my video. The next portion of my video is where I'm modeling for you what it looks like to set up a brand new classroom for this school year. So up here on the top right, I'm going to click the plus button one time. So right here, you are going to click the Create Class button. I recommend that the name you give to the classroom somewhere identifies the date. Let's pretend 6 years from now you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 archived Google Classrooms that you can pull from when it comes to content that you would like to reuse. From an organizational strategy, it's going to be super smart to know, oh man, did I make that during the 16-17 school year? Did I make that during the 18-19 school year? If you can identify those specific classes uniquely, that's going to be helpful for you. So if you choose only to have your last name, that's fine. If you want to have your title in front of your last name, it's up to you. If you want to identify a room number, whatever strategy you choose to identify your classroom, that's completely and entirely up to you. If you teach something other than elementary school and the section or the subject or the room number are important, feel free to include those. If you are a teacher that departmentalizes and maybe you have Group A, Group B, and Group C, whatever language that you want to use in order to identify those batches of students, that's entirely up to you. And then you're going to click the Create button. In a very short period of time, Google is going to magically design that class for you, and then Google's going to transport you specifically to that classroom. Once Google executes that change and takes me into that Google Classroom, I'm then going to talk to you about security protocol, and I'm also going to show you what it looks like to officially design a couple assignments. If there are any pop-ups that show up, read them if they're important to you. In order to move over to that space that will allow you the freedom to make security-oriented decisions for your students, you're going to come over here up on the right to the gear. Inside of the gear, you need to determine, well, you can determine the maturity of your students prior to arriving here, but this specific space right here is important for you. Students can post and comment. We had an issue a few years ago with a batch of students, one specific student who was posting some phrases and some words that may not have been appropriate in a social context. And so I'm thankful that that teacher already had this security in place so that the entire class was not privy to those words or phrases. If you are going to spend the time and the energy to ensure that your students understand how to behave in this space, and you're going to monitor it, it's up to you if you want students to post and comment. At the elementary level, lean into the leadership of your administration. If your administration says that teachers are the only ones who can post or comment, then adhere to those policies for your site. If you choose to leave it up here where students can post and comment, and they choose to post things at 2 o'clock in the morning that you're not aware of, the entire class has access to it. So please, 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 I just recommend that you are very careful. I'm going to choose only teachers can post or comment, and then I'm going to click the save button. If there were no changes to be made, you'll notice that there's an X over here. So you can choose either one that's appropriate for you. When Google Classroom designs a class for you, each time this happens, Google also does another thing for you. Google magically designs a folder inside Google Drive by the name of Classroom, and inside that Classroom folder, it designs a folder for your specific classroom. So I'm going to double click right here where it says Classroom. And then inside this Classroom folder, it will show me the folders of all the Google Classrooms I have ever had. Inside of each of these Google Classroom folders, there will be folders that identify assignments where specific content needs to be turned in. So here are all of the folders related to those specific assignments. When I double click on any of these folders, I will see student content. For security purposes, I'm not going to double click on these because it will reveal student names, but just wanted to reveal that to you. Google does that for you. If you are curious how to get to that content easily, you have a few places to go. In the classwork folder, it says class drive folder right here. Click one time, it's going to magically take you to that classroom folder. The other location where you can quickly access student work is also on this main landing page. This little gray folder right here is going to take you to the student work associated with that specific classroom. You have Stream and you have Classwork. Classwork is where you can create new assignments, or you can post a question or things of that nature. Stream does not have the button that allows you to create new content. Let's pretend that you are sharing content in a job share situation, or in a long-term substitute situation, or if you are departmentalizing and there are 3 teachers that all need access to all of the content. If that's the case for you, click on this button right here, enter the name of each person who will be a part of your classroom. So I'm going to type in Kelly Brown, for example. I can click on Kelly's name and then invite her, and then she and I would have equal power over this classroom to delete assignments, to grade student work, to provide content, and those sorts of things. If that's important to you, feel free to make those adjustments. Back to Classroom. Let's create an assignment. I'm going to click the Create button one time. I mentioned to you that anytime you archive a classroom, all of those assignments are available to you. Right here where it says Reuse Post, I can click Reuse one time. From this window, I can locate any classroom that I've ever been a part of, ever. If any of these classrooms are archived, it's going to say Archived right here. So I can click to enter this space. I can click on whatever assignment I find in there, and I can click right here where it says reuse that assignment. So just because a class has been archived, It does not mean that all of that content is gone forever. I still have access to all of that content. If I want to reuse an assignment, I don't have to start over from the beginning. If I choose to make this assignment live and share it with my students, I can click the Assign button right here. Let me talk about a few things on this page. If you are teaching more than one class, let's pretend you departmentalize and you have 3 sections, Group A, Group B, Group C. Okay, essentially, really, I have 4 because I've got the one that's in front of me back here and then 3 more. So, and quite honestly, you're not going to have this many classes to choose from. If you would like to share the same assignment with all 3 classes at the same time, this is the space where you would choose all of the classes that will receive that assignment. Let's pretend that you want to differentiate that instruction and you only want that to go out to a few students. Because this is a brand new classroom and I have 0 students in my class, I do not have a list of students right here. But in theory, you would have a drop-down menu with the names of all of the students in your class, put a check mark next to every name that's important. Let's pretend you have a student who's out on independent study. You have 5 unique assignments for that specific child, but you don't want those 5 assignments going out to the entire class. Well, just choose that one singular student, call it independent study, put those 5 assignments right here, and then click the Assign button. Name the assignment whatever you want it to be named. Provide feedback and instructions available right here. If the points are important for you, then include that information. If the due date is important for you, then articulate that here or don't worry about it at all. It's completely up to you. If topics are important for you, you can design topics. You can create a science topic, a social studies topic, a Unit 1 topic, a Unit 2 topic, a Unit 3 topic, a tiger topic, a digital citizenship topic. This space is 100% up to you. Now, I brought in a Google slide. If you ever put a Google slide project in here and you want each child to have their own copy, use the drop-down triangle right here and make sure that you slide down here where it says make a copy for each child or each student. I'm not sure on video with just my voice how to awkwardly, painfully point this out. Usually when I'm giving presentations, I flap around like a fairy, wave my arms like wild, caw-caw, caw-caw, make strange sounds. I cannot stress enough how this one step right here is so critical. If you don't get this decision in this box correct, and then you click the Assign button and you realize after the fact, oh no, oh my word, I made a mistake. Google is not going to let you fix that one detail. This decision right here must be made before you click the Assign button. Otherwise, you're going to have to delete the assignment and start all over. It's not the end of the world. It's only going to take 6 minutes for you to fix your mistake. However, I just want you to know, please pause and think through this decision before you click the Assign button. So let's pretend that for the Google slide, we want the students to view the file. Let's say for item number 2, I want to pull from Google Drive and I want to give them the Arctic animal template. So I'm going to give them this document right here. I'm going to click 2 times. On this template, instead of viewing, I want every single child to have their own copy. Melissa, you never paused to say what the middle one is. I don't know that many teachers use this middle one very often. The middle one says, all 27, all 37 of us have access to ONE, one online file, and all of us have the power to make changes to that one document all at the same time. So just be careful. You can totally do that. It can absolutely be a learning tool that you want to do. If you want one massive Google slide presentation and everybody gets their own slide and everybody's editing that project live at the same time, and you think your kids are capable and talented enough to do that, that's what the middle one means. Everyone is editing the same file all together at the same time. So down here, make a copy for each student. These 2 buttons over here, if I want to include a video, I can click over here. I can pull content from YouTube. Either I have the URL or I want to look for one. I recommend, in order to save time, that you don't go through the process of trying to evaluate all of these in this box. My recommendation is open up a new tab. Make sure you know beyond a shadow of a doubt exactly what that URL is. Copy it and then drop it in. Let me model for you. This is my Google Classroom. I know what's in here. I'm going to go to videos. I'm going to slide down to reliable research strategies, reliable online research, right click, copy, link, address. Then I'm going to come back over here to classwork. I'm going to click right here where it says URL. I'm going to come down to the box. I'm going to click on the right mouse button. I'm going to click the word paste, and then my version of Reliable Online Research Strategies has popped up. I previewed it, I vetted it, I know what it says. I'm going to click the add button. Now, I modeled for you what it looks like to reuse an assignment. I modeled for you what it looks like to pull something in from Google Drive. I modeled for you what it looks like to bring in something from YouTube. Now, you don't always need a hyperlink over here, but let's pretend that there is a Penguin article on Wonderopolis that you think is fantastic, and you want the students to use that. So if you come over to online content, I'm going to pause and let it load for a few seconds. I'm going to click right here on this URL. I'm going to use the right click button on my trackpad or my mouse. I'm going to copy. I'm going to come back over here to this tab inside Google Classroom. I'm going to come down here to the chain that indicates that I want to put a web link in. I'm going to scoot up to the box, left click, right click, paste. If you love keyboard commands, you can just do Control V. It's totally up to you. And then add link right here. If at any point you change your mind, you can click on the X right here to take any one of those away. So I modeled what it looks like to have all those resources in there. Now, over here where it says assign, I have three options. If I click the down facing arrow, I can assign right now. If I do not want any of my high achieving little blessings to work on this tonight, because I only want the students to have access to it at 9 o'clock tomorrow, I can click schedule, and then it will magically only populate inside Google Classroom tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So you can choose the date, you can choose the time, and then you can click schedule. Your other option is that you can save it as a draft. Maybe you are not at the point where you are fully satisfied with this assignment and you want to give yourself 4 or 5 days to think about it or to adjust any of those details. You can make any one of those decisions. Additionally, you can use the trash can right here if you want to get rid of any of the decisions that you have made. I'm going to click the assign button. Be patient with Google. It's going to take just a little while in order for that assignment to load. And then once it does, I want to make sure that you know how to delete it. That way, if you've ever made any errors in the process, then you can do that. It's not large or enormous. It doesn't take up the whole screen. It's just this tiny little bit right here. You can click on it one time in order to open it, so that way you can teach better, in my opinion, and you can highlight and point these out over the course of your lesson. If you want to view the assignment, you can also view the assignment. This is going to show you specifically student work. So this particular space really isn't something that you're going to use during the course of your lesson. This just is a space where all of those student files are going to populate once they've had a chance to start working on those. The files will populate before the students work on them, but you can see that work as it progresses. So during your teaching session, if you want to click on any one of these to model how to use them, those resources are available to you. So let's pretend you made a mistake and you want to delete it. You actually have the power to edit the assignment. If you're unable to edit some pieces of that assignment, then you can delete it. You can also copy the link if you want to send it home in a parent email or share it out with someone who has sharing rights for this space. Those are options for you. Up here where it says people, this will show you the students and the adults that have access to this space. All the way over here on the right is where it says grades. Because I have 0 students listed in this space, you're not going to see any grades, but your grades would populate over here. One last detail that I want to draw your attention to. Over here, I call this the pancake. It is another menu. It's going to allow you to go back to that main Google Classroom space, or you can switch or toggle between classrooms. Archived classes are down here if you ever need to get back to them. In this bottom corner down here where it says settings, this will determine the type of content that comes to your email inbox. Every time a child makes a comment, if comments are important to you, every time a co-contributor makes adjustments, things of that nature, you have the ability to determine how much content is coming into your email inbox. So, FYI, feel free to tweak or adjust any of these details if they are important to you. Team, if Google Classroom is new to you, I say jump on in. Just make it happen. It's okay if you make mistakes. You've got a team of people who are here to support you through the process. I trust that you are going to do a fantastic job of helping your students navigate this online resource where they will never say, I can't find my papers. And you never have to worry about a child claiming that you lost their paper either, because you have access to all of that content all the time.
Team, as always, thank you so much for paying attention and have a great day.